Meredith Shiner now, political correspondent for Yahoo News. Is this over?
No, I don't think that it's over yet. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow on Super Tuesday. Your correspondent was talking about winner-take-all states. If someone actually hits 50% in Texas, that's the threshold by which all of the delegates in Texas would go to one candidate. Ted Cruz has been campaigning significantly there, and I'm not saying that he would be able to do that, but I think that that's one of the far-fetched hopes of his campaign, is that he would be able to, because in terms of delegate math, Donald Trump is really owning the field. I mean, in a place like South Carolina, where Marco Rubio's campaign was bragging about a second-place finish, Trump still took all 50 delegates. So you have a lot of delegates on the field, and particularly in Texas, where 155, as you said earlier, are in play for Republicans. You know, that's a significant battleground where before that 50% threshold, you see delegates that are doled out proportionately based on performance.
Are there party leaders, if there is such a thing? Your party leader is usually your nominee. So the last nominee for the Republicans was Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney seems to be coming out as the anti-Donald, but I haven't really heard much from anybody else, aside from, say, well, that's about it, really. Lindsey Graham, I guess.
Well, I think that Mitt Romney was sort of a polarizing figure in Republican circles, because there were people who believed after 2012 that one of the reasons he lost the general was because he wasn't conservative enough. And there are others who believed that the primary had pulled him too far to the right. So when you looked at, you know, the post-mortems from that campaign, when the RNC put out its report, it talked about making inroads with Hispanic voters, supporting immigration reform, which was one of the reasons you saw Marco Rubio on that bipartisan bill that he's running away from. And, you know, I don't know that Mitt Romney coming out against Donald Trump will make that much of a difference, because the people who, you know, really believed in Mitt Romney because of his stature as a more moderate governor of Massachusetts aren't going to be people who believe in Trump or believe in the establishment in the first place.
Is there anything in your reporting that suggests people actually think Trump's going to do any of the things he says he's going to do, like building a wall or any of the other things that he can't get done?
I think that it's hard to say. I'm sure that there are voters who really believe that what he's saying is real, but I think that those same voters are super skeptical of the system. One of the reasons why Donald Trump is so popular isn't just because he's talking about building the wall, it's because he's breaking the conventions of the system. He went on a debate stage and he didn't play by the rules that someone like Scott Walker, who had to drop out almost immediately, had to. So I think that part of the reason they are attracted to him is because he's not sort of bound to those conventions. But I don't know if those same characteristics sort of translate into believing that he's going to deliver for you. I think for some Republican voters, they will believe, but I think that there are others who look at his record and his life in New York, where at one point he was pro-choice, or he's a little bit more moderate and supportive at times of a progressive tax plan, that don't believe that he's as conservative as someone like Cruz, who's been making, you know, plays for evangelical voters in a much more conservative way.
Wonder what they would do if he actually did get to the White House and then he didn't do the things he says he's going to do. Wonder what this angry group would, I just wonder how they would react.
I don't know the answer to that, but I do think that one of the things you should really look at is what Republicans in Congress have done, right? Republicans in Congress promised that they could repeal Obamacare. They promised they could shut down the Department of Homeland Security.
Of course, they knew better on both those instances. Yeah. They knew better all along. The whole world knew better.
They did, but I think that part of that means that they created this environment where there's an inherent distrust of Republicans in Washington. They talked, you know, just late last year about defunding Planned Parenthood, knowing that they couldn't. And so I think that this has become a trap for the Republican Party writ large, and it presaged Donald Trump's rise. I don't think, you know, when you talk about Donald Trump dividing the Republican Party or breaking it or setting it back, I think that those divisions exist. He's just less subtle about it, so they're coming out to full bear now in ways that they didn't before. But those divisions were happening when you have conservative members in the House, when you had someone like Ted Cruz in 2013 who shut down the government. The foundation for those divisions was there. This is just the first cycle, maybe because none of the establishment candidates or alternatives were as strong as someone like Mitt Romney in 2012, where there's this sense and anxiety within Washington Republican circles that they're not going to be able to stop Trump.
Meredith Shiner from Yahoo News. Very interesting. Thanks a lot, Meredith.
Thanks for having me.